Today I'm going to be talking about the top 5 books in November of 2020. My name is Paul, and if you've never been to my channel before, this is something that I like to do every month, is review 5 books that I've read either from this past month or a little bit before then that would be beneficial to you and your own personal development. And like I said, if you've never been to my channel, I do things like personal development, fitness, God, business, anything like that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So this first one, The Magic of Thinking Big, by David Schwartz. It's this book right here. It's about a 300-page book, and one of the reasons why I like this book and that I picked this book is because sometimes, or a lot of times, people undermine themselves with the goals that they set. David Schwartz pretty much argues for why you need to develop the habit and the mindset of thinking big, and also how to accomplish those goals of thinking big while not remaining delusional. Because one of the reasons why people don't set big goals is just because they absolutely don't think that they can hit them. So for example, if someone were to go, I want to make $1 million a year. To most people, that's gonna be like absolute absurdity because they've never thought about how they could. And even if they've thought about how they could, they think that there's a lot of luck factor in that. But what David Schwartz is kind of talking about is, hey, we gotta develop the habit of thinking big, but we also gotta develop the habit of doing. And the second that you break one of these paradigms, like in your head, of you hit a goal that you thought was just super large and you thought maybe you could hit it, but there was a lot of doubt in you. But the second you kind of break that paradigm and you realize, oh my goodness, I just hit one of these big goals, well, then you're starting to get in the habit of doing and thinking beyond what you ever thought was possible. And just to give a little example from my life, I just completed a marathon 2 weeks ago, November 15th. Today is November 30th, and that I'm recording this, and I completed it on November 15th. And I had only been training 11 weeks prior to that. It was August 23rd, I believe, was the first, it was a Monday, that I first started training. And I think that first week I only ran like 11 or 13 or so miles. And it was just really, really incredible, huge paradigm shift for me. The day that I completed it, just being like, wow, I've never been a runner before. 11 weeks ago, I just started. And now I literally just did something that I thought I could do, but it was a absolute big goal for me, at the time. So it was just a really, really cool to be able to experience kind of like what he talks about in this book. So again, the magic of thinking big. If you want to, learn how to develop, big goals and etc. This is the book. Like I said, about 300 pages in this one. This next one I really, really like. It's Leading with a Limp by Dan B. Allender. It's right here. It's about 200 pages in this book, and one of the things that I like about this book, so he comes from church leadership background, okay? And one of the things that he talks about is, if any of us really, really understood what leadership requires, very, very few, if anyone, would ever desire that position, And I thought he was quite accurate in that, just because of, if you're leading anything more than like, well, even with 5 or 10 people, but it doesn't matter how many people you're leading, you're gonna deal with slander, you're gonna deal with people who who are misinterpreting like what you're saying, and then they're gonna get offended by you. You're gonna deal with the whole slew of things. And so if anyone really understood what it is to lead, no one would really want it. But for the people who are called to lead, he's arguing, if you must take up that mantle, then lead with a limp. What does that mean? Lead with vulnerability. Lead with showing your weaknesses. And I think this is a quote from John Maxwell talking about, if you think that your people don't already know your greatest weakness, then you're delusional. And so this book pretty much, not that he got that from John Maxwell, but this book pretty much goes into that saying, hey, be upfront with your vulnerabilities, be upfront with your weaknesses, talking about them with your people, talking about, hey, I am the chief of sinners. I'm not trying to lead you guys from a spot of thinking I'm better. I am right here with you guys in the trenches, and I'm gonna lead with my vulnerabilities first. I think one thing that this also does a good job with is protecting against putting people on a pedestal. And I think some people do that with the people who lead them, is that they naturally put them on a pedestal. They think they got some special gifts and whatnot. And although they may, they are people just like us. And so showing your weaknesses, showing your vulnerabilities helps you relate with your people more, and helps your people relate, or helps you relate with your people and helps your people relate with you more. So again, I think this is a great book, Leading with a Limp by Dan B. Allender. This next one is The Artist's Journey by Stephen Pressfield. And this one is about 175 pages. The Artist's Journey by Steven Pressfield. Steven Pressfield is a great author. I suggest picking up every book of his that you can. I've read, I think, 5 or 6 of his books now. And this is a really, really short, really, really practical guide on what the artist's journey is. And what he argues is that everyone talks about the hero's journey, which the hero's journey, to sum it up, and I may butcher this, but the hero's journey is kind of, this person, they're going out from their safe zone, they're going out into the unknown, they gotta face the dragon, they gotta face, the big thing, they go out and defeat the big thing, they come back a hero, essentially. So you're going out into the new territory, you're leaving the safe zone, you go out and defeat the big thing, you come back, you're a hero. What he says is the artist's journey is the hero's journey over and over and over again. So he's saying with each new level in the artist's life, you're going to have the hero's journey over and over and over again, and just talks about what it is to go through that and what it is to be an artist and be a professional artist in general. So if you are a creative or you run a business or anything like that, you're a blogger, whatever, you are creating every day, this is a book for you, just learning what the artist's journey is. And again, this one is about 175 pages, so highly suggest this book. This next one is, it kind of goes along with this, is Reinvent Yourself by James Altucher. Right here, Reinvent Yourself. I really like this book a lot because James in here, from the title, talks about how many times he's had to reinvent himself. Where he started to where he has failed over and over and over, all the way from business to personal life, everything in between. He's very, very vulnerable in this book, and he's talked about how many times you have to reinvent yourself for success. And that's why I kind of like it in tandem with this book, is because as Steven talks about, you're going to be going out and doing the hero's journey over and over. Every time you go out and do that, you are reinventing yourself. And so this is a personal book that James wrote, just in my opinion, as like an encouragement to people on the journey to reinvent yourself, and on the knowing that, hey, where you are right now, you cannot stay that same person if you want the next level and if you want continued success. So this is about 400 pages of just lessons, both personal and business, and would highly suggest it. This next one, this is a book that you're going to have to study, or at least that I'm going to be studying. I just finished it. This one is 360 pages, but it's What It Takes by Schwarzman, right here. This is a phenomenal book. One, I think just the vast amount of life experience that this guy has, just in the world, in the finance world, mergers and acquisitions, leading people, entrepreneurial, startup, his own money, possibly failing, how much work it takes to succeed. I mean, he literally just goes over lesson after lesson after lesson. And the point at which he wrote this is such a rich time, because I think he's in his 60s as of right now, and he goes all the way back to his childhood and just talks about his mindset from his childhood till now. And I think there's, like I said, there is so many lessons in here that this is one of these books that you study. You read this, you outline, you star, you underline, but then you go back and take it chapter by chapter, go over the course of a month, and really kind of meditate on these lessons in here of what he has. So if you are in the finance world, in the business world, in the entrepreneurial community, you will find great encouragement from this book, and a lot of practicality. And one of the things that I actually like about this book as well is that he does not make it sound easy. And I think at this current point, he's worth like 17 billion or something like that. And some people who look at the billionaires, they look at him with envy, with spite, and sometimes will be like, oh, these guys got lucky, breakthrough on whatever it was. Here, you just see how much hard work he's put in, and all the time, all the years and whatnot. So I felt like it was also very, very practical, very, very realistic. So again, this is What It Takes by Steven Schwarzman. And it's about 368 pages, 370, something like that. So yeah, just as a recap, What It Takes, Reinvent Yourself, The Artist's Journey, Leading with a Limp, right here, and then The Magic of Thinking Big. All right, I'll see you guys on the next one.